Sri Lanka Sangha members and great Korean monk Suwon Sunyim, the chairman of the Korean Buddhist Television Network, BTN. The inscription of the Pomyansa Temple steward of the Buddhas is Rumuniya Saririka Thatu Reckless, memorialized Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangwon Sunyim's role in the revival of the Southern Bhikkhuni lineage. Today, we honor Most Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangwon Sunyim again on this 2021, November full moon, the 25th anniversary for what was perhaps her crowning life work, the revival of the Theravada Bhikkhuni. And last but not least, many thanks to Professor Jo Eun-soo of Sakya Theta, Korea for generously sharing her time and collaborating together in researching Most Venerable Sangwon Sunyim and the 1996 and 1970 Park Bhikkhuni Ordination, and to Sangwon Sunyim herself for generously sharing materials from her archives, offering several interviews with Professor Cho and Bhikkhuni Jusong Sunyim, as well as several personal written testimonials shared with Venerable Tathaloka, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, Venerable Bhikkhuni Velayagoda Sudashana, Venerable Bhikkhuni Liupa Viditatthama, Venerable Bhikkhuni Phakthi Thammananda, Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira, Venerable Kamadse Somo, Venerable Shumen Sakyamuti, Madame Ranjani De Silva, Nirosha Monashige, and Sohani Hatiyarachi were all really helpful contributors to the collaborative learning process which led to this biography. And today also at the end of my presentation, thank you, Venerables, for listening.
Okay, now let me take the opportunity to introduce Mahatheri. We have few Theravada Bhikkhuni Mahatheris, and I'm glad that I have the opportunity now to work with her and to introduce you one of the pioneers in Theravada Bhikkhuni Sasana. Arya Tathaloka is the first American Theravada Bhikkhuni to receive her Upasampada from Venerable Dr. Hamanpura Ratanasara Thero in 1997. And she has researched and studied extensively on world Bhikkhuni Sangha history and on comparative Vinaya. So she is a Buddhist scholar, and she has written a lot of articles. And even when we need to know something about the Vinaya or the Bhikkhuni history, we actually consult her. She's like an encyclopedia in that area. And Arya also has founded a few organizations, and to name a few, she has co-founded in 2004 North American Buddhist Association, now known as the Theravada Bhikkhuni Association of North America. And in 2008, Aranya Bodhi Hermitage in Sonoma Coast in US. And in 2016, she co-founded the Dhammadharini Sonoma Mountain Bhikkhuni Aram, which is known as Dhammadharini Monastery. And also, she is currently the advisor for few organizations to the Dhammadharini Support Foundation since 2005 and Alliance for Bhikkhuni since 2006. And Sakyadita USA, she was an advisor from 2007 to 2009. And the New Zealand Bhikkhuni Sangha Trust since 2012 up to now, and to the Dhammacema Trust from 2018. She is working as a senior monastic advisor. And also, she has been the abbess for the Dhammadharini Vihara from 2005 to 2015. And she has been a Bhikkhuni Pavatini Upachaya in Australia in 2009, where Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Sujato led that ordination for the first time in Australia. And then she has been the Pavatini Upachaya for the that ordination that took place in USA in 2010. So she actually practices and share teaching of early Buddhism and support aspirants to Bhikkhuni life and research Bhikkhuni Vinaya and Bhikkhuni history. And let us put our palm together, and with respect, humbly, we invite Mahatheri Arya Tataloka to present her documentary. Welcome, Venerable.
Thank you very much, Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta Terry, my co-coordinator for this Honoring Those Worthy of Honor, Puja Cha Puja Nyanang, part of our program for the 25th anniversary of the revival of the Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha. I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to be sharing with you from the commemorative video that was made by the Korean Sangha at the time of the 1996 Bhikkhuni ordination in the Deer Park, Isipatane, Sarnath, outside of Varanasi. And so I hope you'll find this as interesting as I did. The entire video is about 2 hours long. And let me just see if I can... Do you want to share sound? Yes, please. Let's try. Excuse me, I'm having tech support consultation here. Stop share. Okay. Oh, no, not possible. Please install the Zoom audio device. Okay, well, it turns out that it's not possible to share the sound because a Zoom audio device would be needed. So we'll go ahead and share this with you without sound. You'll be able to see the video clips. So we've taken a few of the clips from this 2-hour-long commemorative video here, and as well as some stills. And then also I'll be giving some introduction to what we're seeing. So this is the historic archival heritage video of the 1996 Bhikkhuni Upasampada higher ordination in Sarnath, Isipatana, Deer Park, outside of Varanasi or Benares, site of the Buddha's first teaching, turning the wheel of the Dhamma, Dhammacakkappavattana, offered on this 25-year anniversary, 1996 to 2021. And this is me, Bhikkhuni Tataloka, offering this at the invitation of the Mahabodhi Society of India and Anagarika Dhammapala Institute of Pali Studies, Sarnath, on behalf of the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International. I'd like to express my gratitude to Most Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangwan Sanim, the Korean Bhikkhuni Pavatini of the 1996 Sarnath Isipatane ordination, for providing this video on request from her personal archives at Bomyangsa Temple in Seoul, and especially to Professor Dr. Eun-Soo Cho of Shakyadita, Korea, for having the aged heritage VHS video digitalized and for sharing it with us on this special anniversary. An important note of understanding: this commemorative heritage video was recorded by and for the Korean Mahasangha of 108 members of the Korean Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Mahasangha of the World Buddhist Sangha Council, who gathered in Sarnath in the Deer Park at Isipatane on 8th December 1996, together with a very large number of Korean lay devotee pilgrims who joined with leaders of the Mahabodhi Society of India and Theravada Bhikkhu Sangha from around the world in partnership with the leaders of Shakyadita Sri Lanka. Due to being prepared in commemoration for the Korean Sangha and pilgrims, this video focuses on the Korean Sangha aspects of the ordination. It does not include the aspects with the Sri Lankan Theravada Sangha or the commemorative speeches made by international Sangha members, which were made in English. The archives of the Mahabodhi Society of India and of the Bhikkunis who were ordained in 1996 may contain more of this heritage information, not currently accessible to us due to pandemic. We'll begin with the video now. This is the Dhammek Stupa, also known as the Dhammika Stupa, known as the site of the Buddha's first teaching in Sarnath Isipatane, Deer Park, 8th December 1996. Just a moment. So there was sound originally, but we've lost the sound due to our technology. So you'll just get the visual images. This is the setup of the ordination Sima area. So the Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha and pre-ordination parade. And I just like to let you know, people often ask, Korean bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, at least of the Jogye order and its branches, unlike in other East Asian traditions, which use gray for their lay people and novices, and use various shades of saffron, yellow, orange, and brown for those fully ordained, the Korean Sangha uses gray for the underrobes of all fully ordained bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, originally using simple charcoal dye. They had used dark brown saffron for their kasaya or sangati robes, now using a lighter saffron brown color in the Jogye order. Only ordination masters, the bhikkhu and bhikkhuni preceptors and principal acharyas, use full-colored ceremonial robes used only for the time of ordinations, gold for bhikkhu preceptors in gratitude to China, and saffron rust for bhikkhuni preceptors in gratitude to Sri Lanka. This is what I was told by senior bhikkhus when I was in Korea in the early 90s. This is the Korean Bhikkhuni Mahasangha here. 3 different traditions or schools of the Jogye order. You saw at the front here a Korean national ordination master, and her biodata sheet is up at the top left here. Ji Hyung Sunim, a national Bhikkhuni ordination master, was at the head of the line there, and then 5 great leading Bhikkhuni abbesses. Attending Bhikkhuni Sangha from Korea came from 2 leading Korean Bhikkhuni orders. Pictured here are 5 great Bhikkhuni abbesses from the Jogye order and its Bomunjong and Sanhakwan branches. We see they are led in the parade here by Korean National Bhikkhuni Ordination Master of the Jogye order, Ji Hyung Sunim, followed by abbesses Youngjin Sunim, Borim Sunim, Do-un Sunim, together with Babjang Sunim of the Bomunjong branch of the Jogye order. This is the Sri Lankan section of the parade, the 10 Sri Lankan candidates with Venerable Vipula Saratero and Ranjani De Silva. Again, the Sri Lankan part of the parade. Here we see the late former patriarch, the spiritual head of the order of the Korean Jogye order, Most Venerable Bhikkhu So-am Sunim. He served as the Bhikkhu preceptor for the Korean Bhikkhu Sangha. The Bhikkhu Sangha of the Korean Kwanam order uses gray underrobes and golden yellow color kasaya sangati robes. We see them here Some people said that there were only maybe total 10 members of the Korean Sangha, and you can tell when you look here that that was not so. So there were leaders or nayakas of 5 orders of the Korean Bhikkhu Sangha who were members of the World Buddhist Sangha Council who gathered together to support this ordination. On the Korean Buddhist side, the restoration of Sri Lankan Bhikkhuni ordination lineage was the lifeblood of Bhikkhu Vinaya Master Ja-un, who together with Hyun Sanim had been dedicated to revival of the monastic Sangha since the Korean purification movement after the Japanese occupation and Korean War. On December 8, 1996, the ordination ceremony was held with great energy, led by the top 3 great leading Bhikkhu masters, with the late Bhikkhu head of the Jogye order, Soam Sanim, as preceptor, the late Jogye Order General Secretary Bhikkhu Hyun Sanim as instructing Acharya, and the Protecting Precepts Department Chief Bhikkhu Bongju as Karma Acharya. The 7 witnessing master bhikkhus were Heun Sanim, Sayo Sanim, and Hyunchal Sanim of the Jogye Order. Kwanum Order General Secretary Hyungpa Sanim. I want to thank him for his contribution and help with this video and research. Chante Order General Secretary Undok Sanim. Wanyong Order General Secretary Ilgong Sanim, and General Secretary of the Changhwa Order Namjong Sanim. This is a quote published in a Korean academic research article noted below. Some of the Korean faithful lay supporters and devotees who joined this pilgrimage and historic ordination program are shown here wearing Korean traditional dress, hanbok. Here we see 10 attending bhikkhunis of the Korean Kwanum order, also wearing gray underrobes and yellow kasa sangati robes, just like the Kwanum order bhikkhus we just saw earlier. Certifying the contributions of Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha. It may be noted that the Korean pilgrimage records, as reviewed by Professor Eun-Soo Cho and Yujong Sanim of the Jogye Order Korean National Bhikkhuni Association, show 108 Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Sangha members participating in this great revival ordination program, at least 18 of whom have been identified as Korean bhikkhunis. I mention this because some sources and interviews have said there were maybe only 2 or 3 Korean bhikkhunis present. However, the Korean video and Korean records clearly show otherwise. The reason for this misunderstanding may be that Korean or Sri Lankan people sometimes have difficulty visually distinguishing Korean bhikkhus and bhikkhunis due to strong enculturation to greater visual gender distinctions in dress, even in monastic dress. In fact, eminent bhikkhuni leaders, abbesses, and national ordination teachers of at least 3 distinct strong traditions within the Jogye order participated in this ordination, together with the 10 bhikkhunis of the Korean Kwanum order depicted here. Highest level Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha participation and support. The 10 bhikkhunis of the Korean Kwanum Bhikkhuni order were led by Gyongchul Sanim, the bhikkhuni president of the Kwanum Jong, offering her assistance and support. Together with the Kwanum Jong, they use different Romanized spelling, Vice President Gyongwan Sanim. It's noteworthy that 25 years later, most venerable bhikkhunis Gyongchul Sanim and Gyongwan Sanim continue to lead the Korean Kwanum Bhikkhuni order. Wow. Persevering. The parade begins to arrive to the Sarnath Isipatane Deer Park Sima, which was purified, established by the Sangha prior to the ordination. After the arrival of the Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Ubato Mahasangha with the backdrop of the Dhammek Stupa, Korean Bhikkhuni Pawatini, Sangwon Sanim, leads the 10 candidates to the Sima. In Korean, it says Nogyawan, which means deer park. That's Sangwan Sunim Pawatini with her assisting bhikkhunis, and the 10 Sri Lankan candidates, followed by Ranjani de Silva, are coming up and entering into the Sima. The candidates arrive wearing white, led by Korean Maha Bhikkhuni, Most Venerable Bhikkhuni Pawatini Sangwan Sunim, carrying their alms bowls. It may be noted that its distinctive Sri Lankan tradition, differing from the Korean Sangha tradition, but respectfully accommodated here in the 1996 ordination, that just prior to full ordination, for both men and women to return to white again very briefly before undertaking the samanera or seminary precepts again, directly before requesting and receiving full bhikkhu or bhikkhuni ordination. The Dhammek Stupa is in the background. Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangwan Sunim is leading together with her 2 bhikkhuni assistants, followed by the 10 Sri Lankan bhikkhuni ordination candidates, led by our late Naika Teri, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, and escorted by another assisting Korean bhikkhuni and Shakyadita Sri Lankan president and co-organizer, Maha Upasika, Madam Ranjani de Silva, who is here with us today. White-robed Sri Lankan candidates arrive in the Sima, guided by Korean Bhikkhuni Pawatini Sangwan Sunim and her 10 Korean bhikkhuni assistants. An announcement is made in Korean that the ordination will commence after 5 minutes. They're getting arranged. Korean Bhikkhu Sangha leaders, Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha leaders, and Sri Lankan International Theravada Bhikkhu Sangha leaders are seen seated together as the camera pans from left to right. Shakyadita Sri Lanka President Maha Upasika, Madam Ranjani de Silva, is seen here with the Sri Lankan candidates and the Korean bhikkhuni assistants. Per Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, first the Sri Lanka Bhikkhu Sangha administered the Samaneri Pabaja and Sika per the Pali tradition, followed by Upasampada full ordination performed per the Korean Dharmaguptaka tradition. We can see here that the ordination was attended not only by international Sri Lankan Bhikkhu Sangha, but also by more than 10 members of the India Bhikkhu Sangha. Recitation of the Bhikkhuni Precepts and Anusavana in Korean. We can hear, if we had sound, we can hear the new Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis saying the Korean equivalent of the Pali, Amabante. Yes, I will uphold the precepts in Korean. Time of donning the Korean Bhikkhuni robes with the assistance of the Korean Bhikkhuni assisting Acharinis. The supporters of Pawatini Sangwan Sunim's temple offered the robes, while the Bomun order Bhikkhuni Acharini, Bapjong Sunim's supporters offered the Korean alms bowls, patra or Korean paru. This is a Korean tradition that when precepts are undertaken, there's a small incense burn or mark put on the left forearm, not on the top of the head as in the Chinese traditions. Here they are holding up their Korean alms bowls, wearing the Korean Bhikkhuni robes. These robes were offered unusually in the saffron orange color due to that being commonly used in Sri Lanka. So, a special note here. Afterwards, That evening, at the Mulaganda Kuti Vihara at the Anagarika Dhammapala Sima, Sri Lankan Theravada robes and bowls were offered by Most Venerable Aga Maha Pandita Walpula Piyananda Thero, known to us as Bhante Piyananda, and with the blessings and affirmation of the assembled International Theravada Bhikkhu Sangha, the Theravada robes were donned by the new Bhikkunis. Korean Maha Bhikkhuni Pawatini Ansa, Most Venerable Sangwan, who is also known by her natal name, Bang Jusok Sunim. They're holding their ordination certificates in their hands here while listening to the Ovada from the Korean Bhikkhu preceptor, Soam Sunim, the Korean patriarch. You can see here a copy of one of the real ordination certificates from Venerable Matale Vijita Bhikkhuni. On the right, Korean Maha Bhikkhuni, Most Venerable Sangwan Sunim, with her hands in Anjali, while the Korean late Patriarch Soam Sunim gives Ovada Dhammadesana exhortation to the new Bhikkhunis in Korean. Sunim is short for Sungbo Nim and means Venerable Sankharatana, Venerable Jewel of the Sangha. The new Bhikkhunis are seen holding their ordination certificates while listening to the Ovada. Post-ordination speeches. The General Secretary of the Korean Jogye Order, Uihan Sunim, was an important organizer for the World Buddhist Sangha Council Korean branches. The General Secretary of the Korean Jogye Order, Bhikkhu Uihan Sunim, was the ordination instructing Acharya. He's mentioning in this video clip that it brings tears to his eyes, the bravery of these 10 women from Sri Lanka to go ahead with such faith and courage, entrusting their lives to full living the Buddha's way, not knowing what will become of them afterwards when they return to their home country. He heartily asks all those attending to deeply sympathize and appreciate such depth of commitment, faith, and bravery. Post-ordination speeches continue. We see that 10 members of Himalayan Tibetan traditions also came to witness this great event. Post-ordination, 10 new Sri Lanka Bhikkhunis with Korean Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Mahasangha and Pawatini commemorative photos event. Post-ordination with Korean Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Mahasangha great multi-tradition reception with recognition of the ordination from great masters of a multiplicity of Buddhist traditions. Venerable Vipulasara Thero is seen sitting in the center in orange robes. Venerable Walpulapiyananda Thero is seen here sitting next to Venerable Andawela Devasiri Thero. Together with the General Secretary of the Kwanum Order. Venerable Devasiri offered the Anusavana, the traditional post-ordination instruction from the Pali text Theravada tradition following the Bhikkhuni ordination. He served as the new Bhikkhuni's teacher of Pali text Bhikkhuni Vinaya for their next 2 years post-ordination studies and training in Sarnath. We'll see him again. Shakyadita International Association of Buddhist Women President Emeritus, Venerable Karma Lekshe Somo, attended the reception together with Venerable Dhamma Vijaya and Sayale Molini. After the Bhikkhuni ordination and reception, the Korean pilgrims undertake Bodhisattva precepts. After the reception, the attending Korean pilgrims have the opportunity to undertake the Bodhisattva precepts of the Mahayana Brahmajala Sutra. This was a separate ceremony. The Korean Bhikkhu-Bhikkhuni ordination rite belongs to the so-called Hinayana, or more properly, Shravakayana, or early Buddhist tradition, not the Mahayana tradition. This is important to clearly understand and differentiate and distinguish. Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha support from 1986 through 1996, 1997, 1998. Here in this photo, we see Shakyadita International Association of Buddhist Women President Emeritus Venerable Karma Lekshe Somo attending the reception, together with Venerable Dhamma Vijaya and Sayale Molini. Venerable Karma Lekshe Somo undertook Bhikkhuni ordination in Korea in 1986, 10 years before. Venerable Dhamma Vijaya undertook Bhikkhuni ordination the same time as Ayakema in 1988. Venerable Molini, shown here wearing pink Burmese Silashin robes, was so inspired that day she undertook the seminary Pabaja that very evening at the Mula Gandakuti Vihara. Bhante Piyananda and Bhante Devasiri, again with Korean Bhikkhuni Pawatini Sangwan Sanim, and her assisting Bhikkhuni Acharyas behind. Shakyadita Sri Lanka President Madam Ranjani de Silva offering a gift to the Korean Bhikkhuni Pawatini and Chief Bhikkhuni Organizer, Most Venerable Sangwan Sanim. Bhante Piyananda, now Agamaha Pandita Venerable Wolpala Piyananda Nayaka Mahatero, offering his speech. Bhante Vipulasara of the Mahabodhi Society of India and Paramadhamma Chaitya Institute of Sri Lanka. Bhante Devasiri with the Mahabodhi Society of India giving his speech. Bhante Devasiri, Venerable Andawela Devasiri Tero with the Mahabodhi Society of India offered the Pali text Anusavana for the historic ordination and subsequently served as Bhikkhuni Vinaya training teacher for the 10 new Bhikkhunis for the next 2 years. Here he is leading the attending Theravada Bhikkhu Sangha in auspicious blessing chanting, beginning with Namo Tassa. I'm sorry you can't hear it. Bhante Vipulasara is reading the list of names of the Buddhist orders that gathered together to support and certify this ordination. Again, I'm sorry not to be able to share the sound with you. It's quite a list. Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma offers her post-ordination reception speech. As you can't hear her, I didn't know you wouldn't be able to hear, but she's saying, I dedicate my life to keep up this tradition of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, now a Bhikkhuni, offers her speech. We see Venerable Bhante Vipulasara in the background. She says, I dedicate my life to keep up this tradition of the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and I hope the great. And then the Korean video cuts off right there. The ordination night program moved to the Mulaganda Kuti Vihara. That's nearby in Sarnath, in Isipatane, and the site of the Anagarika Dhammapala Sima established by the Sri Lankan Sangha. This section of the video is a little longer. This is the Buddha image in the place where the Buddha's relics. And I'm sorry you can't hear the Sri Lankan Sangha is chanting the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha's first discourse, turning the wheel of the Dhamma. And it's such a powerful chanting in that space. So I wish if we have another opportunity to share the sound of this with you. All of the new bhikkhunis and bhikkhu bhikkhuni sangha there have the chance to see the Buddha's relics that are enshrined there. And here you can see the large number of the Korean devotees, upasakas and upasikas who have crowded into the hall and are spilling out of the hall. The Buddha's relics. So it was here at the Mulaganda Kuti Vihara, established by Anagarika Dhammapala after the Korean pilgrims adjourned, that the Sri Lankan and International Theravada Bhikkhu Sangha offered the robes and bowls of the Theravada tradition prepared by Venerable Dr. Wolpolapiananda Thero and accepted the new bhikkhunis into the Theravada tradition. So a list says the host would like me to unmute. Venerable Panadura Bhadra Bhikkhuni, Venerable Pasara Sama Bhikkhuni, Venerable Subhadra Bhikkhuni, Venerable Hemapali Bhikkhuni. List of the 10 members of the Theravada Sangha who were present and supported this ordination. Venerable Nandaratana Thero, Venerable Dhammaloka Thero, Venerable Piyananda Thero, Venerable Anuruddha Thero, Venerable Siddhi Sumedha Thero, Venerable Rewata Thero, Venerable Vimala Thero, Venerable Vajranyana Thero, Venerable Dhammaloka Thero, Venerable Vajira Thero. This is a picture of Venerable Bhikkhuni Sudarshana together with the Dhammak Stupa in Sarnath, newly ordained. And we also see a copy of the 10 new bhikkhunis contract or agreement with the Mahabodhi Society of India. We, the following signee, agree to abide by the rules and regulations of the Mahabodhi Society of India. In this connection, our first meeting was held in February 1996 in Ratnamalana Paramadhamma Chaitya Pirivena, Sri Lanka, with the participation of Venerable M. Vipulasara Mahatero, President, and goes on General Secretary of the Mahabodhi Society of India. It was agreed to join the Mahabodhi Society of India for Buddhist missionary works at least for 3 years, although they did, because of the 1998 Bhikkhuni ordination in Bodh Gaya, they did all return to Sri Lanka after that ordination. It says, in addition to the above, we are grateful and thankful to the Mahabodhi Society of India for re-establishing the Bhikkhuni Sasana with the cooperation of the World Buddhist Sangha Council at Sarnath on the 8th December 1996. We 10 members of the first Bhikkhuni order agree to follow the Bhikkhuni rules, regulations, and Vinaya under the guidance of the President and General Secretary of the Mahabodhi Society of India and under the supervision of Venerable Vimala Thero, Bhikkhu in charge of the Sarnath Center of the Mahabodhi Society of India. Post-ordination education, training, and support was provided by both Sri Lankan Bhikkhu Sangha and the Korean Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Sangha. On the left, we see the new bhikkhunis with Venerable Vipulasara Thero. On the right, we see the new bhikkhunis with their Bhikkhuni Pavatini, Sangwan Snim on the left, and Bhikkhu teacher in the center. So I'd like to take a moment in memory of Venerable Mapalagama Wipulasara Thero, who passed away in 2010. We'll be hearing more about him later in this honoring program. Also in memory of the Most Venerable Andawela Devasiri Thero of the Mahabodhi Society of India, deceased last year. And in memory of Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma Naika Mahateri, who passed away on 28th August this year, 2021, of COVID. Thank you very much to the Mahabodhi Society of India, Anagarika Dhammapala Institute of Buddhist and Pali Studies, and to the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International. This is a full moon over the Dhammek Stupa in Sarnath. The end.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So much merit, Aryakataloka Mahateri. Felt like we're traveling to our past, to the history. And I had the wish that if I could, know a bit more about that first ordination, and now you took us a tour there and felt like I was present there when it was happening, and I'm sure that was the same with everyone who was watching this. And for most of us, I think it's the first time that we saw this from our own eyes. So thank you so much for doing the research and finding the clips and sharing it with us so we all could see what took place in 1996. So much merits. So the next is, I think it's Venerable Arya Kataloka's turn to
Next, the next speaker. Yeah.
Of the ordination, and there are other parts that I would love to see with the Sri Lankan bhikkhus and all the speeches in English for another time. Right now, we would like to continue with our Honoring Those Worthy of Honor program, Puja Cha Pujaniyanang, by inviting Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta Teri to offer the presentation that she has prepared, honoring Bhante Wipulasara, Bhante Devasiri, Bhikkhuni Kusuma, Bhikkhuni Piyananda, and we'll see. Actually, she has some wonderful materials that she's prepared for us here. I just want to say I was recollecting actually meeting Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta first in India in the winter of 2007, I think, when she was aspiring to ordination, and she came to Bodh Gaya and the Mahabodhi Society of India, and that's where we met. I was there together with a number of bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, including Bhante Sujato and several other leading bhikkhuni teachers. We were there offering Buddha Vision Bhikkhuni training for the Indian bhikkhunis and seminaries. It was 10 years after the Bodh Gaya ordination that revived the bhikkhuni tradition in India, and the first program that was offered there. I want to greatly appreciate Venerable P. Siwali Thero, who was there in Bodh Gaya at that time, and the support of the Mahabodhi Society of Bodh Gaya during that time, and for Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta, her great heart of Bodhicitta, to go forth and to ordain. Then I saw her again a few months later in Australia for the first Bhikkhuni seminar there in early 2008. which then ended up being so important leading up to the first Bhikkhuni ordination in Australia in 2009. Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta was there for that. I understand she has a forest hermitage in Sri Lanka and also the Nisala Arana outside of Melbourne, Australia. And I look forward to hearing more from her. At the time that Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma Terry passed away, Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta offered a really wonderful memorial for her. In fact, several of them. I learned so much about Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma from her. It was so inspiring. We now want to offer her invitation to speak again and share with us about these those who are worthy of our honor in this Honoring Those Worthy of Honor program. Niman Karala, please, we invite you, Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta.
I pay my respect and with all the Sangha's permission, Maha Sangharatning Avasarai, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. May I speak few words with the permission of the Mahasangha. So we saw the 1996, the first Theravada Bhikkhuni ordination that took place in Saranath, and it was possible to thanks to Venerable Mapalagama Vipulasara Thero. He was at that time the General Secretary of Mahabodhi Society, and I think at that time Bhante, and there were many Bhantes, Piyananda Thero, and also from Malaysia, Venerable Kirinde Dhammananda Thero, and Adavula Devasiri Thero, and there were many great bhikkhus who worked behind the scene to bring this event to success. And before this event, Venerable Mapalagama Vipulasara Thero actually sent Bhikkhuni Kusuma, who was a lay person at that time, a professor, Kusuma Devendra, to Korea to study Vinaya, to see whether it's compatible and what they can do, whether they can revive the Theravada Bhikkhuni order, having the Korean Bhikkhunis as the preceptors. And then she did that successfully. So after that, Mapalagama Vipulasara Thero requested Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma to take the leadership, because at that time a lot of resistance was developing in Sri Lanka towards this establishing the Bhikkhuni Sasana. And then he said, well, you know, we need to have a strong Bhikkhuni leader, otherwise this is not going to establish here. So he asked at that time, 69 years old, 70 years old, Kusuma Devendra, whether she will take the leadership. And then she said, without taking, having second thoughts, she had told him over the phone that, of course, Bhante, I will sacrifice my life to establish this Bhikkhuni order, if that is the case. So then Mapalagama Vipulasara Bhante, he had a far vision, I think, and he chose the right leader for this event. And thanks to his proper decision, that this time in 1996, when they did the ordination, Bhikkhuni Kusuma managed to safely bring the Bhikkhunis back to Sri Lanka and re-establish that Bhikkhuni order in there, which had failed before in 1980. I think 88, there was a Bhikkhuni ordination in Shillai in USA, where Sri Lankan Dasasil Matas have participated and became Bhikkhunis. But after they come back to Sri Lanka, it didn't establish. It just, they couldn't put their feet down and live a Bhikkhuni life. So it died off. But this time, thanks to Bhante Mapalagama Vipulasara Thero and for his wise leadership and choosing the right Bhikkhuni leader, I think in 1996 it well rooted and it got established in Sri Lanka. So we are indebted to Mapalagama Vipulasara Thero, and he passed away in 2010. So apart from Bhante's contribution towards re-establishing this Bhikkhuni order, he is a well-known artist as well. Some of you may not know that he has a title that's given by the government of Sri Lanka, Kala Shuri, the emblem of Sri Lanka. You can see that mark there where that like a round under the Buddha statue, that is the emblem of Sri Lanka, and he was the designer. Bhante Vipulasara was the designer. And so Mahathera was the chief monk of Paramadhamma Chetya Pirivana in Ratmalana at that time. It's after that he became the general secretary of the Mahabodhi Society and moved to India. And Vipulasara Thero was an artist and a sculptor, and Venerable had accomplished skills in creating innovative Buddha statues, and Venerable's artwork of marvelous, significant meditation posture statues can be seen at the Ananda College Shrine Hall, where you can see that Buddha statue there. Ananda College is one of the well-known Buddhist schools in Sri Lanka. And even the current president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, is a past student of Ananda College. And this is the Buddha statue in Ananda College, where it was molded by the hands of Venerable Vipulasara. And in 1972, the great monk had the proud distinctions of modeling and preparing the prestigious official emblem of Sri Lanka. And then he was awarded this Kala Suri title for rendering this great service to Sri Lanka, to the Buddhism and to Buddhism. And Venerable Vipulasara Thero held many prestigious positions as a Buddhist monk, amongst which the Venerable was the Chief Secretary of World Buddhist Sangha Congress, and like I mentioned, he was the General Secretary to Mahabodhi. It was that position, I think, that gave him the power, the strength, the courage, in order to conduct this auspicious event, the first Bhikkhuni revival ordination. And one of Venerable Vipulasara Thero's most notable achievements was his ordination of this 1996 Saranath amidst much resistance. This was the first such ordination of Theravada nuns in over 1,000 years, and it demonstrated his commitment to the egalitarian principles of his faith. Venerable Vipulasara Thero was an excellent Buddhist diplomat. Can we go to the next slide, please? Then another person who played a key role in that first ordination is Venerable Andavela Devasiri Thero. He was the 25th principal in that Pirivena, that Paramadhamma Chetya Pirivena. And it was under Venerable Andavela Devasiri Thero that all these newly ordained bhikkhunis got 2-year training. So the really appreciate Venerable Andavela Devasiri Thero's commitment and dedication and training them, and with all these resistance that was around, but they were very brave to conduct this and be there with the Bikunis, and we can see that it's something with the Mahabodhi Society. I think when Anagarika Dharmapala Tuma started this, he had the wish not just to help the Buddha Sasana and to uplift the Buddha Sasana, but also to help the nuns in particular. And we can see that fire now in the current General Secretary in Mahabodhi Society, Bhante Sivali Thero. And it's thanks to him that he is conducting this 25 years of anniversary. So it's like I sometimes felt that when Venerable Kusuma Theri was in Sri Lanka, she could have done so much, but the supporting conditions were not there. So one of the reasons, I think, it was the passing away of Mapalagamat Vipulasara Thero. He left us in 2010. So Bhikkhuni Kusuma was kind of, I think, left without a strong teacher. So that support was not there. But I think with the current support that the Bhikkhunis are receiving from the General Secretary of Mahabodhi Society, there can be another new energy and a lot more progress in the Bhikkhuni Sasana. I think in India and in Sri Lanka, we can hope there will be much more improvements and support and flourishing of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So can we also have the Venerable Bhante Piyananda Thero slides, because he is another key player. Bhante Piyananda is also a strong believer of the Bhikkhunis, and Bhante supports the Bhikkhunis. Bhante was awarded the Agamaha Pandita title by the Burmese Bhikkhu Sangha, and it is one of the very prestigious titles. Only very few Bhikkhu Sangha receives. So Venerable was one of the eminent monks who took part in this first Bhikkhuni ordination, where Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, along with other 9 Bhikkhunis, received the ordination. And you saw that it was Venerable Bhante Piyananda Thero who offered them the Theravada robes and who accepted them to the Theravada section, and did a lot of groundwork, and even after that ceremony he was there to look after them and give the support and everything. And Venerable has played a significant role in the spread of Theravada Buddhism throughout the world, and the chief Sanghanayaka in the United States of America. Currently, he's the Sanghanayaka. And Venerable Thera's Buddhist mission began with his visit to India. There, the Venerable studied and held various positions in the Mahabodhi Society, working closely with the bhikkhus and the Buddhist representatives from various countries, including the Dalai Lama, and engaged in various religious activities. Venerable also has played a significant role in establishing the Theravada Bhikkhuni Sasana in America, along with Venerable Havanpola Ratanasara Thero. As a result of the revival created by Venerable Piyananda Thero, women of countries are living as Upasampada Bhikkhunis in various parts of the United States, rendering a great service to the Buddha Sasana and society. Buddha Sasana. If you know Venerable Arya Tataloka's preceptor is Venerable Havanpola Ratanasara Thero, and it was supported by Venerable Piyananda Thero. And in 2010, they had a Bhikkhuni ordination, and Venerable Arya Tataloka was the Pavatini, and also Venerable Piyananda Thero had appointed Venerable Sudarsana Theri as a Pavatini as well. And up to date, they are continuing Bhikkhuni ordinations in the United States, and so he's a continuous supporter for the Bhikkhuni Sasana. So thanks to their support and their loving kindness and compassion towards the Bhikkhunis, that in the East and the West, the ladies can get ordained and get the higher ordination and enter into the sasana and then practice and establish themselves in the practice and then serve to the Buddha sasana. And shall we go to Bhikkhuni Kusuma? So we want to remember them with from the bottom of our heart. We are grateful to all these great venerables and for the contribution that they have made towards the Bhikkhuni ordination. And now we have a small video prepared by our Sirini Upasikava from our interviews after the Bhikkhuni Kusuma passed away. So we can listen to that video clip. Hope we won't have any problem at this time. Let's listen to the video.
Bhikkhuni Kusuma, who I was privileged to meet several times. In those days when we could travel from place to place, she would travel and visit Australia, I would travel and visit Sri Lanka. And we'd also travel to many conferences and other meetings throughout the world. I'm speaking for the Bhikkhunis in this world to show that how worthy that you are. You are true daughters of the Buddha, Sakyadita, and that you deserve that respect. You're not given respect, you're earning it, you're deserving it. And that's a beautiful thing to show in this world. And Bhikkhuni Kusuma was a person like that. I remember her coming to Bodhinyana Monastery where I live, and I was, I think the first time, I was very impressed with her. And people tell me, all the disciples who come say, thank you so much for establishing the Bhikkhuni Sangha here in Perth. They're doing wonderfully well right now. I'm so inspired by them. So it gives me inspiration, but also that it means there's many things which they can answer, which I can't answer, which are beyond my experience. And so they say it's a wonderful thing to have the both Sanghas there. And just the Bhikkhu Sangha, no matter how wise they are, how senior they are, they can't cover all of the needs of our Buddhist lay community. And that's one of the wonderful things that now we have that dual Sangha, Bhikkhus and Bhikkhunis. And of course, as you know, as the whole world should know,
it is indeed appropriate to talk about late Dr. Bhikkhuni Kusuma, even if she is no more alive. But the legacy that she has left behind is worth speaking again and again, and voice out concerns about the order of the Buddhist nuns, a dynamic character, and strong in her thoughts, and always very determined. Therefore, she moved forward against all odds. She has been always kind of an advisor to me when I started the Bodhidharma Society in Malaysia, where we were trying to train and promote the Bhikkhuni order. And she was, until the last moment, advisor of the Bodhidharma Society. So on this day, I want to express my deep appreciation of Dr. Kusuma's work, who has done immense work for the Bhikkhuni order. Therefore, it is up to all Bhikkhunis of all traditions in the world, think of her sacrifice. And we need to move forward as a united front so that we can achieve the desired expectations of the Bhikkhunis.
What strikes me about the Venerable Kusuma, what makes her an ideal role model for the nuns, so that she was the first nun to be ordained as a bhikkhuni in Sri Lanka, or at least in the Sri Lankan lineage for 10 centuries, she was a highly educated woman. She had 2 doctorates. She was a professor. She was an academic. She had a very clear and precise mind. And she was used to public speaking. She had great confidence, gracious, very gracious, but at the same time very confident. She reminded me of Queen Mahapajapati, because she was a queen and she must also have had that inner confidence in herself, so that she could be the leader for those nuns that came with her and after her. So likewise with Kusuma, she was the ideal person. Nobody could have been better to be the vanguard for this ordination ceremony. And I really, from my heart, rejoice that she was there at that time. The karma brought her to that role which she needed to play with such integrity and such dignity, and so completely, fully accomplished to represent the Bhikkhuni Sangha.
Of this extraordinary bhikkhuni, Dr. Kusuma, who died at the age of 92, so venerable, and also who brought so much into the life of women everywhere through her great scholarship, her great determination, her great generosity. At this time, there is a movement for the revival of the Bhikkhuni order in various of our Buddhist lineages, and how important this is, even though there's controversy, even though there is resistance. We know that Bhikkhuni Kusuma was a great monastic, also a great scholar, and also an extraordinary advocate for monastic ordination. And upon her death, it is important for us to acknowledge all that she gave in bringing, constellating, reviving the Bhikkhuni order in Sri Lanka. And that Bhikkhuni Kusuma exemplified the qualities of courage and also of vision that has made it possible now for thousands of women in Sri Lanka and in other Asian and Western countries to be ordained. Thank you, dear Bhikkhuni. May we carry forward your vision.
Can I have the slide, please, about the Bhikkhuni Kusuma? Thank you. So, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma was born on the 9th of October in 1929, and she passed away 3 months ago, and her 3 months Dani and Punyanamodana Pinkama is coming up on this 29th. So Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma was internationally respected as a Buddhist monastic scholar and a teacher. And as you know, that her scholarly abilities, it's beyond the words. She could speak actually 6 languages. If she was a monk, she would have been offered that Shadvarna Bhasa title. But she was she had all the qualifications for that, and she had written many books, and she has translated many books, and she had studied Pali and Sanskrit, and she was a professor teaching at the Colombo University, the Pali and Sanskrit and Buddhism at some point in her life. And Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma started her career as a science teacher in 1969. Venerable won a scholarship offered by the National Science Foundation and Asia Foundation of USA to study for a master's in molecular biology in the University of Indiana in USA. And so this is at her lay life when she was a lay person. Then Venerable was disappointed that science had no answers to her question, why are we born? And come back to Sri Lanka and joined the staff of the university and did her MA and PhD in Buddhist philosophy. At 69 years, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma became the first fully ordained Buddhist Bhikkhuni of Sri Lanka after the 11th century, filling a gap that long existed for 9 centuries. Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma received her higher ordination in Saranath in India, 1996, from Korean Sangha headed by the Venerable Bhikkhuni Bhang Sang Wong, and under the auspices of the Indian Mahabodhi Society, of which the president then was later Venerable Mapalagama Viplasara, which we all saw that into our own eyes, what went there and how it took place and everything. It was very moving. Venerable has authored numerous books, represented Sri Lanka at international Buddhist conferences, and even into the old age. Then the Venerable continued to travel throughout the world to teach the Dhamma. And just before she passed away, even before she had COVID, she was giving Dhamma talks and teaching. And only I think when she was hospitalized that her teaching stopped in a way, that going out and teaching. But even after she came back from the hospital, she was really interested in teaching, and she's a really inspiring character. At her age, 92, they did their own practice and served the world until they shed their last breath, and did so much service to the Buddha Sasana that we cannot really express it in our words, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, in her autobiography, Braving the Unknown Summit, says, it was not intended to be a work of scholarship, but a simple narrative to provide, if at all, some guidance and inspiration to women who seek an alternative lifestyle away from heath and home. So that gives the beautiful explains what was in her heart. And so I see her like a bodhisattva. Bhikkhuni Kusuma was asked to come forward. She didn't have any idea to become a nun. But from that phone call when Venerable Viplasara Thero said, I'm going to give up this and I can't move forward without having a real leader, strong leader. There's no point doing this research and preparing for a higher ordination. Then without thinking twice, Bhikkhuni Kusuma said, I will become a nun. I mean, it's not an easy thing to think of becoming a nun just in a second like that. And she was at her 69, I mean, nearly 70 years of age. But she sacrificed her life. The whole life was dedicated, even before, to do a lot of research about this Bhikkhuni ordination. She had written the 10 Precept nun book, Dasasila Mata book, as one of the PhDs. And she, even as a lay person, she was really studying and supporting the nuns and writing the books to enlighten people about the nuns' life and how hard it was and all that. So she had told Venerable Viplasara Thero at that time, well, I have dedicated my whole life anyway to help the nuns, so why not now I become a nun? It's all right. So she just came forward and became the first Bhikkhuni, which wasn't easy for her. But her education, her background, and that character, like Tenzin Palmo was saying, she had that inbuilt in her to be a true leader. Even I think for today, if it wasn't for her, I think even the second time when they had this higher ordination, it may not have planted in Sri Lanka. But thanks to this Bodhisattva, Venerable Dr. Polonnawe Kusuma, a lot of people know as Kusuma Devendra Bhikkhuni Mahansa, thanks to her that we now have the Bhikkhuni lineage there. So I would like to think of her with a lot of gratitude as one of her students. She was my Upajjhaya too. And so as a student, I actually feel in one way, feel very blessed to be ordained by her. And also I think that the start that she has given, the leadership that she has given for the future Bhikkhunis, I think it's time now the future Bhikkhunis take the leadership and fill her vacuum that now that we don't have her. And we have now, there was one young nun at that time who attended this 10 preceptors, among the 10 preceptors in that Bhikkhuni ordination. But now she's a Mahatheri. So we have one Mahatheri now who is in that batch, even though Bhikkhuni Kusuma is not with us anymore. I hope the others who are in that position, who can take the leadership, will come forward and take the leadership and help the future Bhikkhunis. So with heartfelt gratitude that I offer lot of merits to Venerable Dr. Bhikkhuni Kusuma, and also to Venerable Mapalagama Vipulasara Thero and Andavala Devasiri Thero, and also Havanpala Ratanasara Thero, and also Venerable Kiruma Vimala Jyoti Thero, the Kirinda Dhammananda Thero, and all these great monks, the bhikkhus who have done so much and who are not here with us today. It's thanks to them and their research and their work that went behind that made it possible to have the Bhikkhuni order established today. So now I would like to move forward and invite one of the Mahatheris who are still with us from that first ordination. And I think all of you know her. So may I invite Venerable Mahatheri Palyaguda Sudarshana Theri, with palms folded together with respect. May I invite Venerable, and let me introduce Venerable Sudarshana Mahatheri to you. So she was one of the first nuns among that 10 preceptors that you saw in Saranath in that 1996 ordination, and she was very young at that time. So she became a Bhikkhuni in that 1996 ordination, and she worked then hand in hand with Bhikkhuni Kusuma. So they both were together in Saranath getting training for 2 years. And then they both went to a Sakyadhitta conference in Cambodia. And it is from there that Venerable Tatthaloka was telling me that everything took place. A lot of people started doing research. And a lot of the attention came towards the Theravada Bhikkhuni order. And so they are the ones who have pioneered. So Bhikkhuni Sudarsana with Bhikkhuni Kusuma and with the other nuns, they got trained for 2 years in Saranath by Andavela Devasiri Thero. And after that, there was several higher ordinations done by Venerable Songwan Sunim as Upachaya, and Venerable Sudarsana and Bhikkhuni Kusuma was the Kamavacharinis on that ordinations. So after that, Venerable Sudarsana Mahatheri went to live in USA and founded Samadhi Buddhist Center in Florida. And also Venerable started giving temporary pabaja for Asian and Westerners living in USA for the Buddha Jayanti anniversary in 2006. She started doing that. And then in 2007, she was the lead reciter for the first Bhikkhuni Patimokkha Udesana in North America, which is an important event for North American Sangha and to the Buddhist, where existence of Bhikkhunis was demarcated. In 2006, Venerable was awarded Outstanding Women in Buddhism Award at the United Nations at Bangkok. And in 2010, she was appointed as Bhikkhuni Pavattini by Agamaha Pandita Venerable Dr. Valpala Rahula Thero. And ever since then, Venerable has supported women from East and West to become Bhikkhunis. And Venerable Sudarsana has played a major role in the past, and now that Bhikkhuni Kusuma has passed away, we hope Sudarshana Mahatheri will fill the gap and will take the leadership role and help the future Bhikkhunis and be inspiring Bhikkhuni leader like Venerable Tataloka. So let us put our hands together and welcome Venerable Sudarsana Mahatheri from Florida to give her speech. Venerable, it's all yours.
Arshana Bhikkhuni Mahante, Niman
Yes.
Karala, inviting you, welcome.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Revival of Bhikkhuni Theravada Bhikkhuni Ordination 25th anniversary. And I saw some videos. Actually, I didn't know that because we were in the in the ceremony. At that time, I didn't see such a big ceremony. And that was, we are very fortunate to have our Theravada supported Bhikkhu Sangha, also Korean Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Sangha. 1996, first Bhikkhuni ordination started in Saranath, Isipatana, holy place. That was great foundation for the Bhikkhuni ordination. At that time, I want to pay my respect and gratitude for late Venerable Mahapalagama Vipulasara Mahathera, also late Most Venerable Porogama Somananda Thera, also late Most Venerable Talalit Dhammaloka Thera, also late Most Venerable Andavala Devasiri Thera. All these great monks, Theravada monks, supported us. And big, huge ceremony at that time. All the our Upajjhaya from Korea, Sangwon Sunim, Bhikkhuni, and Venerable that, and Bhikkhu Sangha and Bhikkhuni Sangha, great, and they give great support for us. Then we had chance to stay under Mahabodhi Society. At that time, president is Venerable Mahapalagami Vipulasara Thera, and General Secretary Dr. Revata Thera. And they gave us great support. They gave us great protection. And so many people think badly about it, but under Mahabodhi Society, they provide us great respect, and we got under trained, and Andawala Devasiri Venerable Thera and taught us Vinaya Bhikkhuni Vinaya rules, and why raised in the rules, and how we protect it, and how we do the confession and Patimok, recite the Patimok, everything he taught us. Then we had chance to give service to the Mahabodhi Society, and I was there 2 years. Then I went back to Sri Lanka, and second time also I want to remember this time. Our first Vasa, we were in Bodh Gaya Mahabodhi Society. At that time, Bodh Gaya Bhikkhu in charge is Most Venerable Vimala Saratero. Now he's back in the Sri Lanka Paramadhamma Chaitya Pirivana. He's a chief monk up there. And first Vasa, we stayed Bodh Gaya. That was great time and remarkable time. Thank you for all the great support for us, Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni and Upasaka, Upasika. And second time, we had chance to Sri Lankan nuns got ordination from Taiwan tradition and Bodh Gaya. That two groups and give a great foundation to establish Bhikkhuni revival, Bhikkhuni ordination, Asian and Western countries. When I went back to Sri Lanka, then I don't have any book to read and how to do it, confession, how to recite the Patimokka. Then we learned when we were in India. Then I wrote about the Bhikkhuni Patimokka and Vinaya rules. Then we used that, but also I don't have any idea. Then I trained the nuns. And anyhow, when we get the chance, we will do the ordination, because we just newly ordained 2-year Bhikkhunis. Then 2002, I had chance to take 23 nuns to Taiwan for Kwanzaa. Then we got ordination, 2003 nuns. And at that time, and a great opportunity, 23 nuns went to Taiwan, and for Kwanzaa we stayed there. We got trained and we got high ordination from there. And after that, we came back to Sri Lanka. 2000 again. I am giving training to nuns who wants to become a Bhikkhuni. Then 2003, we had chance to organize international Bhikkhuni ordination at the Mount Lavinia, late Venerable, Most Venerable Thanale Dhamma Lokanayaka Thera's temple. And at that time, we invite our great Most Venerable Korean Bhikkhunis, also great Venerable, Most Venerable Taiwanese Bhikkhunis. They both Bhikkhunis came and helped us to do international Bhikkhuni ordination in Mount Lavinia. And I think that's one of the nun from Vietnam, Yutta Dhammo Bhikkhuni from there. Three Vietnamese nun, 2 Burmese nun, one of the nun is Gunasari Bhikkhuni Theri. And we had chance to do that international Bhikkhuni ordination at that time, 2003. I think it's February, before I come to America. And this is very great opportunity. When Buddha's Buddhism is disappeared in India, and they revival. And also Bodhisattva Gunopeta Anakaraka Dharmapala, and Venerable Lankan Dharmapala established the Bhikkhu Sasana, Bhikkhu Buddhism in India and everywhere now Indian Mahabodhi Society. And we had to great gratitude for the most venerable late Anagarika Dharmapala. And nowadays, now we are in India, many people can go and visit the Buddha's sacred places, and because of the most venerable Anagarika Dharmapala. And thank you for organizing this event. Now General Secretary Siva Litero, and we gratitude and most respectfully we respect to you. And organizing this event 25 years, our most Bhikkhuni Sangha from Korean tradition and Korean our Upajjhaya. And when I went to in Korea, I always go pay respect to her. And she established one of the center for the nuns, Bhikkhunis in Kalaniya, near the Kalaniya temple. And there's all great events happen is because of the help from the great Mahasangha. And without our Sri Lankan very great Sangha, we can establish the Bhikkhuni order. And late most venerable Mahapalagami Pusaratero, we greatly transferring all our merits to them, merits to him and all our venerables. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Actually, sometimes I didn't see the great videos from our ordination because we are on the show at that time. We didn't see that one. And very great opportunity we got then ordination. And I am greatly appreciate who dedicate this time. And I want to thank about the Dr. Kusuma Teri, and she's our leader at that time. And without her, we cannot re-establish Bhikkhuni ordination. Also, we have to great the Bhikkhu Ranjani the Silva, the great supporter for us. She like my mom, and she took care of us very well and give protection and give advice. And even though she's a lay person, and all this, everybody gives supported us. Without support, all of you, and we can re-establish the Bhikkhuni ordination. Thank you for giving this opportunity, and thank you for organizing this opportunity. This beautiful celebration, 25th anniversary of Theravada Bhikkhuni revival opportunity. And one of other nuns in Sri Lanka, actually, I don't have any connections, unfortunately. Thank you for organizing, and all the merits for you, all the merits rejoice late our venerables, and may they be attained supreme bliss of Nibbana. Thank you so much. All the blessings be with you. Bhavatu sabba mangalan rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddha anubhavena sabba dhamma anubhavena sabba sangha anubhavena sada sati bhavantu te.
Sad, 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 anumodami. Thank you very much to our Venerable Peleagoda Sudarshana Mahateri, ordained in 1996. I appreciate her joining us on this 25-year anniversary and serving as the representative for the group of 10 Bhikkhunis who ordained fully on December 8th, 1996. So, Venerable Bhikkhuni, thank you very much for joining us and sharing those words and blessings with us. And now she was mentioning Ranjani de Silva as being like a mother, and Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma and Ranjani de Silva both played such enormous roles. We now turn in our Puja Cha Puja Nyanang program, honoring those worthy of honor. to Ranjani De Silva and the launching of her authorized biography, Walking in the Sunshine of Bhikkunis, written by Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira in Australia. So we'd like to invite Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira, Ranjani De Silva's authorized biographer, and then also we hope we might hear just a few short words from Ranjani as well, as I think she's here with us from where she's staying at Newbury Monastery in Melbourne, Australia. So Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira, thank you very much for joining us. Venerable Suvira, I think, is joining us from the Sydney area at Sydney Metarama. And she served as the authorized biographer of Ranjani De Silva. And I didn't realize when we started consulting together about this biography, maybe a year or so ago, that I actually didn't realize we were coming up on the 25-year anniversary and that there would be the opportunity to launch this biography on the 25-year anniversary. So many thanks to the Mahabodhi Society of India and Venerable P. Siwa Litero for this initiative, together with all of my senior Theravada Bhikkhuni co-coordinators with our United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International, which is also launched during this time on this anniversary.
We lost you, Arya. We can't hear you.
How about now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So saying a few appreciative words about Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira. Aya Suvira, I don't know when you lost me, but without further ado, we'd like to invite Aya Suvira to share with us about Ranjani De Silva's new biography, which she has greatly collaborated in and facilitated, Walking in the Sunshine of the Bhikkhunis. Today, on this 25-year anniversary, is the launching of her biography. And we have Ranjani De Silva here with us as well. After this, we'll hope to hear a few words from her too. So, Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira, welcome.
Thank you so much, Aya. Before I begin, I'd like to pay my respects to the Venerable Teres and Teres and all of the Sangha who are present today. With your permission, I'd like to introduce myself and about the biography. My name is Suvira Bhikkhuni. I live at Metarama Nuns Monastery on Cabrogal land of the Darug Nation in Western Sydney. In 2018, my Bhikkhuni mentor, Aya Upeka, had noted that many of the key figures of the Bhikkhuni revival were getting older, and that the time to document Ranjani's contributions is now. Ranjani had been described as a prime mover of the Bhikkhuni revival, and I had spent 3 years conducting oral interviews and otherwise researching her role in supporting the revival, as well as providing, her life story and the context around what led her to make this important choice to support the nuns. I'd like to acknowledge everyone who had assisted with that, some of whom are here with us today. Aya Katalika had contributed generously in terms of fact-checking and providing Bhikkhuni knowledge. And also Venerable Peligoda Sudarshana had provided photos, and my Venerable Preceptor, Aya Santini, had also provided, some words of support for the book. So Ranjani De Silva's most noteworthy contribution had been as the leading Upasaka behind the 1996 Sanat ordination. I have, in the book, I have, devoted some effort to ensuring that the account of 1996, which I have provided, not only covers Ranjani's contributions, but is an accurate historical record, which also provides positive outcomes from the 1996 ordination. I didn't want to speak for too long because, it's Ranjani's story. I want to hand back to Ranjani. But something that I found after having looked at the ordination story, like I said, for about 3 years, I was touched on many occasions by the faith and bravery of those who made this ordination happen from both Sri Lanka and Korea. And I think something that's quite important to understand this particular ordination is that there are two major stories. One is the story of the need of the Sri Lankan Sila martyrs, and the other is the story of the compassionate response of the Korean Sangha to that need. So I was very happy to see more information shared earlier today about Venerable Sangwon Sunim and her important contributions. So that was, if I were to summarize one key point, that would be the outstanding feature of the 1996 ordination that's touched me personally. And again, there are many, some of these themes which have big names like transnational networks and the emergence of engaged Buddhism. There are many major shifts that happened in the 80s and the 90s, as well as the emergence of the lay meditation movements. And we can see all of these massive world-changing themes, all of these things are happening at the same time. So when we look at someone like Ranjani's life, as would be true for many of the key protagonists of this ordination, we can see, so much happening in terms of new movements and the formation of a type of global Buddhist ecumenism, or a type of collaboration at a deep level between Buddhists from different countries that we haven't seen before. So this was also a very noteworthy finding that I took from the time spent working on Ranjani's book. So if anyone is interested, Ranjani's biography entitled Walking in the Sunshine of the Bhikkunis is currently available from mettarama.org under publications. So that's Mettarama, METTARAMA.org. And print copies will be available from December the 20th via the Buddhist Cultural Centre, Sri Lanka. And those will be low-fee print editions. There'll be a charge for the paper. So you have two choices, either the online free edition or paying for the paper via the Buddhist Cultural Centre. And I'd like to thank Bhante Wimala and Bhante Dhammika of the Buddhist Cultural Centre for making that possible. So I better not hold you all up any longer because I'd like to pass to Madam Ranjani herself, who can tell you more. So thank you, everyone.
Suvira, thank you for sharing with us about the teaching of our dear Venerable Ranjani Nona's biography, Walking in the Sunshine of here. You may have your what is important to share. What is to Ranjani de Silva herself, because she has been.
Is it my chance now to speak? Namo Buddhaya, Everyone Saranai, most venerable Bhikkhus, Bhikkhunis, Mahasangha, and all the dear Dhamma friends, my sisters and brothers. Giving me this opportunity to revive, it's my past life, it's like my past life. It's part of my life, the 96 of it. It's a very important topic taken. And everybody talking and rejoicing on the 96 ordination. But I think I know a little more than what you all have been talking, because I was involved from the very first beginning, how the idea came, how it happened till the very end. So I will let you give you some information you would like to hear. To my I'm most grateful to our most venerable Vipul Saracharya. If not for him, this would never have happened. I tell you, I know that personally. I was working with him from the day one. It was he who got this idea. And it did not just happen. Nor was it a planned event. We did not plan it. But it happened. How it happened? Because the conditions all came together. All the conditions were right in time. And mainly, something important you will come here today from me. It was in Anagarika Dharmapala's diary, it was mentioned that the Bhikkhuni ordination has to be done. That is one of the key points that you have to remember. It was again Anagarika Dharmapala. So when we were supporting the Sila Matas, when it was training, all that was happening, it was Venerable Vibhusara there who called me and said, now we are doing all these things with Sila Matas, maybe we can send 10 nuns, we can select 10 of them to serve in the Mahabodhi Society in India. And while we were training, the Duke was then one day, he said, you know why? Because because it is written in when Anagarika Dharmapala diary says so. And as centenary celebrations of Anagarika Dharmapala, as a respect for him, he said, I am going to do this. So that is how it started. So that is a very important point I want to stress, especially on this occasion where we are having this community. Then how it happened, and also my gratitude for Ayakema, who we could not mention now. It was Ayakema who really gave us the idea to support the nuns, Sila Mata. She came from Western country. She came to us and became a Sila Mata in Sri Lanka. She became a nun, and from there joined Kusuma. So then had established a nuns island monastery, teaching meditation to women, Sila Mata. So, and we happened to our Kalyana Mitra. They became our Kalyana Mitra. It is she who invited me to join the 1987 conference in Buddhagaya, Nuns Conference. So she arranged this Nuns Conference in order to support the nuns and with the idea of for the future Bhikkhunis. That is where the foundation was laid. So after having the opportunity to attend that conference, Kusuma, they went to that time, Bhikkhuni Kusuma. So we were there. At that time, all the speakers were talking of the Bhikkhuni in the past, in the Arahat Theories in Sri Lanka. And then see the conditions of Sila Matas today in Sri Lanka. Oh, my heart sad. I really personally, to tell you the truth, I did not pay much attention to the Sila Mata. I hardly saw them in our area. And I only see them under a Bodhi tree or some pilgrimage place like Kataragama or Kiribati. So we did not have much respect. They were a marginalized community of women who did not belong to the clergy nor to the lay. So it was the time, and no educated woman or somebody from a great family will join them because they did not have respect from the society. It was the time to recognize them. So this idea came to me after listening to that conference, and it touched my heart. And it was again under the Bodhi tree with the Gaya. I was determined, I'm going to help them. And at the end of the conference, maybe I came and saw my thoughts. She knew my mind. She said, Anthony, when you go to Sri Lanka, please help. You have to help your nuns. So with that idea, I went back home to Sri Lanka immediately. I turned to the different view. I started talking to the Srila Matas, then interviewing them and found their stories, listening to their stories. I felt so much of compassion for them. I want to help them. I thought, no, this is the task for me. That is how I did it. Even though I'm 84 years now, still I can remember this ordination, everything like a picture, like a movie, everything from the day one to the end. There are some things, information, not little bit incorrections, but I know exactly what happened and everything. Still my memory is good. This 1996 ordination and the Bhikkhuni thing came up. So at that time, after the 87 conference, after going to Sri Lanka, I started training. There was no organization on my own. I started training. I started training Srila Matas in different districts with my own resources, that was available. Then later, when I for Kusuma, she was living an Avangarical life and not staying at home. She was in a meditation center. After she left the I invited her to come and stay with me in my house. So that was the best years in my life I spent with Kusuma and me together, meditating together, talking Dhamma together, sharing. And then I said, I'm going to organize this and train the nuns. And also, one day we must have the conference. Then 91 conference came in Thailand. At the end of the conference, they were looking for a venue. That day somehow Kusuma did not happen to be there, but I got up and invited on my own, just the idea came. I said, no, I invite you to hold the next conference in Colombo. So I came, I was present there. That is the last time I saw her in person. Then they were so happy and I said, go ahead. So I was only just on my own, a woman. I know but that time I had not even established the Sakadita Sri Lanka. I was just on my own.